Hello guys, this is Leo from Quotes and Posters, and today I'm gonna have this quote here. I'm gonna talk about it. It's called "Having Haters Means You Stood Up for Something" by Winston Churchill, sir. Winston Churchill. So, it's a really interesting quote here because you're not gonna do anything great in life. You're not gonna be able to achieve something that is gonna change the world if you don't have and if you don't attract people who will have different opinions than you, and you can call those people haters, right? And haters, they come to your life in many ways, right? They could come as people who only disagree about you, or they can come very they can attack you in many ways. They can say really nasty things. They can distort things that you say for their favors. They can manipulate facts. They can do a lot of stuff to actually put you in a bad position, right? And I don't know about you, but through the course of my life, I had some haters. I had some people. Not with this project still, but I will at some point. But whenever I stood for something in my life, I always encountered people with different opinions than me that were not just acknowledging that we had different opinions, but wanted to apart from acknowledging, wanted to destroy me. And why does this happen? Then you start questioning yourself, why do you get haters, and why do they exist? Why people cannot just live in good terms while still disagreeing to others? Why do you have to disagree, but at the same time that you disagree, you have to actually hurt someone so you can take advantage? And I think the main reason is this is because it's about survival, right? It's about if you really look at the big picture of this issue, why there are haters in the world, it's really about the ego. Deep down, it's about each person's ego, and it's about the survival of your ego, right? Because your ego only cares about your self-preservation, right? And the reason there is a hater is because the particular person wants to be in a position, wants to achieve something, wants to do something in life in order to survive. And you, because you are doing something else, but this person, whatever you're doing is actually damaging whatever the other person is doing. You got a conflict right here, right? So you can see this happening a lot with politics, right? That's why so many people hate politicians, because politicians, they do something that eventually affects others' lives, and then of course you're gonna have haters, and you're never gonna have haters if you just be doing by yourself, if you are by yourself doing something for yourself that doesn't interfere with anyone else, right? So haters, they always come because of that, because they feel there's a sense of fear of disrupting their lives, and basically you're doing something that is going to be is going to damaging, is going to do something bad for their lives. So in that sense, since we are all interconnected in the world is a huge web. That's why we have so many problems in the world, and that's why we have so many people hating each other, and we have so many cultures and subcultures, and really you have sometimes even extremes about people who are completely 100% extremely opposed to the other, and it's quite crazy actually if you think about it, because we are all humans. We should be fighting for the same things, right? But we're not, because we imagine that if we would be able to unite all the humans, and we would be able to create something for us that everyone benefits from it, and everyone is equal, and everyone can survive and can fulfill the basic needs, right, of survival, which is like food, shelter, sleep, and this. But the whole thing that happened in the world now is because we are already able to fulfill our basic needs. Our ego wants more. Our ego wants to advance, wants to enslave others, wants to take advantage of others for our self privilege, right? Our self advantage. Basically, this is the big problem of society, and this is the big problem of humanity that always happened. If you go through the history books, this is something that always happened through human history. There's always one human wanting more than the other, wanting to take advantage and take power over the other. And precisely this happens because of the ego of self-preservation, right? So if you go back all the way to the cave period, to when men used to live in caves, there was in tribes, there was always the leader of the tribe, and the leader of the tribe is the one that provides safety and provides food for the rest of the tribe, and then the leader deserves the best piece of the meat, deserved to sleep with the most beautiful women at the time, and it goes like this. So basically, it's quite interesting that you see that we, as human species, we evolved a lot through technology, right? But at the same time, we haven't evolved anything from this model, because today what we have is exactly the same model. You have the leader of the tribe, like Donald Trump or Kim Jong-un, whatever. You have dictators, you have these leaders sometimes doing things that are totally in their favor. In your face, they are dictators and they don't give a shit about it, and there's nothing you can do in a society to change it. And basically it's the same thing that from thousands of years ago. So it's quite a paradox, right? We evolved in our ways to do things, our technologies. For example, now we hunt with very precise machines. We have farms, and we developed agriculture, the industrialization, everything. We have technology, but we haven't been actually able to sort this particular issue of the ego, right? And it's quite curious, like how human nature manages to be this way, right? And nobody knows actually the reason why, and nobody knows how to actually solve this problem, right? Maybe the thing here is to acknowledge that this maybe is not, it shouldn't be perceived as a problem, right? Maybe this should be perceived as the reality, as a fact, as something universal, something that you immutable, right? Because if we haven't been able to solve this through our entire history, it means that this is biology, right? This is us. This is our cells. This is our blood. This is our DNA. It's in our DNA to fight with ourselves for the sake of our self-survival, right? Which is something very deep, if you think about it. It's something very deep that you can actually start to develop your thinking, because do you think that is ever possible that all this evolution that happened could have happened without wars and without conflicts, without fights? But do you think this the evolution that we achieved so far would be possible to be achieved if in the utopian situation where every human being is aligned with the same goals? Do you think that would be possible? Imagine a world where everybody is aligned with the same goals. And what is the goal? The goal is to survive. There's no other goal, right? But now in society, we develop so many ways to survive that survival is not an issue. Actually, we make an issue, right? Because we could survive. Everyone in the world could survive easily, because we already have the technology. It's already there. It's already invented. We have the land. We have the technology. So why is there people in the world dying? And why is there a war, right? And do you think it's possible that it could have been different? And those are very deep questions, that I really I dare you to give me an answer, but because it never happened. We always had wars, at least in each period of society we had wars, like 100 years. Every block of 100 years there was a war. So we are always in conflict with the others, and we are always in conflict with ourselves. So that's something for you to acknowledge, right? Which is kind of a truth that nobody actually, very few people, I think, wants to acknowledge this truth, because we all, especially politicians, we all want to show to the world that we are good and that we are noble and that the other is evil, not us, right? And I've seen very few people really acknowledging that, or really admitting that that war is part of our DNA, and war is human, and conflicts, war is inevitable. So in that sense, Winston Churchill here is very smart by doing this quote, because having haters really means you stood up for something, and then Churchill kinds of acknowledged that you will have haters, and it's actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. That's what Winston Churchill is like, with some sense of irony, saying in this quote here. Like, and it's very obvious what he's saying, right? Because of course, when you're gonna be standing up for something that you believe, you eventually are going to disrupt someone else's status quo, and by doing that, you're gonna put someone else's life and someone else's ego or someone else's environment in risk, and that's going to cause an effect, and that person or that group of people is going to fight back, right? So bottom line is, you shouldn't be afraid of war. You shouldn't be afraid of having haters. In fact, you should be proud of yourself that you have haters. But does that mean you should act like an asshole? Well, see, this concept of being an asshole is also totally subjective, because many times I've seen people doing things to me where in my mind, in my perception, they were acting completely disrespectful. But in their minds, no. In their minds, they were just doing what they had to do, They were just doing something that in their minds it was right. So you gotta be really careful about this notion about being an asshole or not, or being good or being bad, because people, sometimes they really think they're doing the right thing, which in fact for other people they are doing something completely wrong. So for example, here I can be thinking in my mind, I think I'm doing something nice to the world by designing these posters and spreading knowledge, right, to the people, or at least giving my points of view about some things in the world. But for example, maybe for someone else which belongs to a different culture, which belongs to a different religion or mindset, is just nonsense. Like for example, what I'm doing here, I'm designing posters with knowledge and talking to the world. But for someone that lives in a tribe in Africa or Indonesia, I don't know, that wouldn't make any sense, right? And it goes like this, right? So you gotta be really careful about this notion about good, bad, evil, and basically my advice would be to live your life by your values and stand up by your values, but at the same time you try to not do something that you know that is going to hurt someone, and if you can avoid it, you know, like, because in many situations in life you have the deliberate choice of doing something bad, doing something that is going to hurt someone else. That's not, and when I'm saying hurt, I'm not talking only about physical hurt, but financially hurt or emotionally hurt, which is something. There are different kinds of ways you can actually hurt someone. You can damage someone. You can damage financially, emotionally, anything. And you have the choice to either do it or not. And then you have to really make a calculation in your mind to actually see if it's worth it, if what you're doing that is going to hurt that person is really going to bring you all the benefits that you want for yourself. Because you're not doing this for out of nothing, right? Like most people wouldn't do something, most people wouldn't hurt someone else out of nothing. They would do out of something to get some advantage or to get some benefit from it. But then sometimes people take the choice to hurt others, but they're not really reflecting about what they're getting back, and sometimes they're not even getting anything good of value back from it. They just hurt because they have trouble inside their minds. They have internal problems. So, and they kind of sometimes hurt because of ego and not because of something really important, you know. So you gotta be really thinking about if it's really worth to proceed. If you are in a situation where you have the power to hurt someone, and this happens to everyone in life. For example, imagine, I'll give you an example. Talking about, for example, the dating, right? You're dating with people, you're dating with a girl, for example, but you don't love her, right? But you want to keep the relationship because you like you have some benefits out of this relationship for yourself, but for her, she expects you to love her, and then you're facing with a dilemma, right? Because are you going to be honest and are you going to say that you don't love her, or are you going to lie and pretend that you love her and say that you love her and lie? And so this is a simple situation that happens a lot with people, right? And you gotta be really thinking, you gotta make a calculation of if it's really, if you're getting really a good thing out of lying to her. Because if you really go deep into this thinking, and if you really go really deep, don't stay on the superficial aspects of the benefits that you're getting out of the relationship, but go really deep into the philosophy of it. I think in the end you're gonna realize that it's better to tell the truth, because maybe if you tell the truth to her, maybe she will actually respect you very much for that, and you don't need to live in a lie, right? This is just an example of this. But think about all these things, and whenever you have someone that hates you, and that person will come to you with anger, be proud of yourself. Don't be angry with that person. Try to understand their reason. Try to understand where they're coming from, why they're coming from this hatred point, and be compassion. Have more compassion, right, to people, right? Don't fight back. Try to negotiate. Try to see if there's some kind of mediation, negotiation, and and whatever you do, try to do it in the less damageable way, okay, for both parts, okay? So that's it. Thank you very much, and see you again.